We have some more significant NHL signings to discuss today, including some pretty big contract extensions for players like Victor Hedman and Pavel Buchnevich, and the Ottawa Senators have finally come to terms with RFA Shea Pinto. The Pinto saga is over. We'll discuss these signings and what led to them coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we're taking a look at some more significant NHL signings here in this video today. There's probably going to be still one more news video here before the end of the night. Of course, some of these signings came a little bit earlier, but we've also had some trades, so I'm just trying to break up the videos and discuss the news here in different kind of chunks of smaller content here. But one of the biggest signing, which came early today, Victor Hedman, which we knew was going to happen, has signed his extension to likely finish out his career with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He gets the exact same contract that Steven Stamkos got with the Nashville Predators. So he gets 4 years, $8 million per season. Clearly, these two have been the two big pillars in this organization for a long time. Stamkos was their first overall pick. Hedman was the second overall pick, just a year apart. They both had phenomenal careers. Led this team to 2 Stanley Cups. And I understand if you got to a situation with the organization that you just really couldn't swing both players getting an extension done without sacrificing another younger significant player. But the way they treated Stamkos to me just feels so wrong. Considering they gave Hedman, they only started negotiations with him just a short time ago. It didn't take long. 4 times 8 came together pretty quickly. And with Stamkos being a year different, he didn't even get any kind of offers or talks or anything when you're a year out, when you're eligible. And then they come and they offer him for a $3 million average value, like $24 million over 8 years for his age. And he's like, that's insulting. I'm not taking that. And they turn around and give Hedman what he wanted. So I don't know. I mean, they moved Sergachev to bring back Ryan McDonough. And then they extend Hedman. They save a little bit of cap space between Sergachev and McDonough, but they gave up a lot of age there too. So I just don't know are they really a better team? Jake Guentzel, there's an argument to make that Jake Guentzel's a little bit better player, a complete player than Steven Stamkos, maybe a little bit more of a playmaker than Stamkos. I don't know if he's really a better goal scorer, though. I mean, Stamkos is one of the best goal scorers of his generation. Stamkos is going to be awfully motivated. We know that. And the Hedman contract, I honestly don't have any issues with it itself. It's just that, these two guys have been best buddies. They've been the two pillars that lead this organization to a ton of success. And just one gets treated here with, almost no effort. Here you go, everything you want. Whereas the other one, we're going to play hardball and make you walk out the door. It's just mind-boggling how they've decided to go about this. I understand it's a business. I understand you got to do what's best for the team to win and to keep the window open and all that. But you got older by moving Sergachev and bringing in McDonough. You don't bring in Stamkos. You sign Guentzel, who's just a little bit younger. It's not like he's a young player, though. A couple of years younger. But just kind of crazy moves there in Tampa. It's hard to say how everything shakes out. But Hedman gets signed. Stamkos goes to Nashville, and here we are. Now, another big signing today was the St. Louis Blues extending Pavel Buchnevich. This one was a whopper, too. He gets a 6-year deal at $8 million per season, so that's $48 million total. He does get no trade protection in there as well. I think it goes to a modified the final 2 years. So, again, Doug Armstrong just loves handing out those no trade clauses. It's like candy at Halloween here, which is why he can't move anybody off his blue line because they're all blocking everybody for trades. Torrey Krug, prime example. But Parayko's got one, Falk's got one. Just hand them out. You get one, you get one, you get one. That's just the way they do things there, I guess. Not to say that Buchnevich wouldn't be a player I'd consider giving him one to, but just kind of crazy how many players in that team have a no trade. But 6 times 8, it's a decent contract for Buchnevich. Hopefully it works out. I know they did contemplate moving him. There was some rumblings in the past year going into this negotiation if they were going to sign him or trade him. I think after kind of examining the market, taking a look at what else was maybe out there that they could contemplate replacing him with, it just didn't look like there was really anything that was going to really make them any younger or cheaper or anything of similar value. So it just made sense to retain him and move on. Obviously, by the looks of how this team has handled its business so far in this offseason, I think it's fair to say that they're content to be like middlers or whatever you want to call them, like middle of the road, average kind of team, maybe get into a playoff spot. Like Armstrong made a comment when they had their conference there. I think it was when they were talking about Alex Steen coming on as the future GM and working as an assistant for the next couple of years, that he wants the team to kind of make it hard on him and kind of change his plans and make it so that at the deadline next year that he wants to add because they've had such a good year and are getting into the playoffs. But to me, it didn't sound like he had a lot of confidence it was going to, but we'll see. But either way, Buchnevich gets a contract extension here that's pretty valuable. It's a lot of money. Hopefully he continues to grow and live up to what he's been doing there because obviously it's a long-term big money commitment. And if it doesn't work out, that could have a major negative impact on things. And the other big contract that got done here just a short time ago is the Ottawa Senators and Shea Pinto have come to terms extending him for only 2 years. They agreed on a bridge deal, $3.75 average annual value. The main reason I wanted to discuss this one in this video is have a little bit more time on it is because of all the speculation that's been around this player for the past probably 48 hours. And word got out, which like I said, wasn't even true. Not all rumors in the NHL are true. We know that. Of course, we discuss rumors a lot on this channel, and sometimes they turn out to be bang on, and sometimes they're not really what what we thought. But this one was kind of crazy. Shea Pinto, of course, there was word that got out. I think it was, and I'm not going to say his name just to call him out here, but Anthony DeMarco got information from the fourthperiod.com, and Anthony's normally pretty good. So I'm not slandering his name or anything of that nature. That's not the point of this. But he had word that the Pinto wanted a trade. Now, Bruce Garriock, who's very well plugged in and connected with the Senators, had information a few days back or even last week as we get closer to free agency saying that don't be surprised if Shea Pinto's agent is out there looking for offer sheets. Rumor has it he might be looking to see if other teams will offer sheet Pinto. And I think a lot of times what this happens for a couple of reasons. It doesn't mean the player wants to leave. It's the agent using dirty tactics to try to get the player what they want and try to force the team's hand. At the end of the day, his job is to get the player's contract that he thinks he deserves. And that's his mark. He works for the player. But Louis Gross is Pinto's agent, and he has to be the player representative around the NHL that has the absolute worst reputation when it comes to these negotiations. Prime examples, I'm going to show you, like William Nylander is his client. We saw what happened when William Nylander got his and it seems to be on second contracts coming out of the ELC. That's the biggest one. Obviously, when Nylander got his extension done most recently with Toronto, that one went relatively well. We didn't hear a whole lot rumblings on that one, but like the second one, like he almost lost the whole season. He signed at the 11th hour and around December 1st, I think it was, when the cutoff was that he was going to miss the whole year. He represents Johnny Gaudreau. We've seen the same thing play out there in Calgary on his second contract. Went right into training camp, almost missed part of the season. Like, you know, it's a trend with this guy, and he seems to like negotiating within the media. So to me, my first gut instinct was he's putting stuff out there through a couple of media people just to get everybody all riled up and get the team trying to see, okay, they want to make them cave. So at the end of the day, I mean, Shea Pinto is nobody ever thought he wanted to leave. So when word surfaced that if he doesn't get the contracts he wants, it's like that he might be asking for a trade. And then the information changed to be like, well, negotiations aren't going well. If he turns out that they play hardball and won't give him the contract he wants, he might ask for a trade. I'm like, okay, so the player wants to play. He thinks he deserves this contract, and if they won't refuse it, like, that's really not news. I think any player would be in that same boat. They want something close to be fair in what they deserve. I know. Shea Pinto never wanted to leave Ottawa. There was never any real true word of that. Even after the word came out that he wanted a trade, within not even a half a day, we had at least two very reputable NHL reporters. I think it was Sarah Valley and Friedman, both said that they heard that was not true at all. And then Steve Stais, the GM of the Senators, confirmed, because he was asked about it, when he did his July 1 media availability towards the tail end of that day after all the free agent stuff. And he said that that's news to him. There's been no request of a trade. He says that Shea knows what we think of him as a player. He knows we want him to be here a long time, and that we're working towards getting a contract done hopefully sooner than later. They didn't have productive talks for a couple of weeks. It happens. But the way this contract is structured, it gets $2.5 million in the first year. It gets $5 million in the second year. So he'll still be RFA. Of course, so his qualifying offer on the next one is going to be $5 million or just above $5 million. So the rumor was now he wanted 5 times 5. I think they compromised on a bridge because they couldn't agree on a longer term. So they're like, okay, well, let's do a short term here. We'll compromise a little bit on money. You compromise a little bit on term, and we'll set it up so that the qualifying offer is going to be what you want on the next one. And that's how they kind of came to bridging the gap and getting it done. So I see that lots of fans of different teams all over the idea of trading for Pinto. So sorry to burst your bubble here, but he's not being moved. They definitely intend to keep him. They consider him a part of the core, and Pinto is definitely going to likely be extended again. So right now they will hopefully have their top 3 centers all healthy to start the year. Wouldn't be surprising if they move Josh Norris to the wing. This bridge also gives them a little bit more flexibility too, that they can still add a player or two. They still could use another one more forward. They could round out the 4th line, and then maybe 2 forwards. They still have room to sign because they still have just around $4 million in space, so just shy of $4 million. So they could do a couple 1 year $1 million or something like that. So they have room to kind of round out their roster and kind of get things ready for the season. So the Pinto saga is over. We got a couple of major extensions with Hedman and Buchnevich. There's several other smaller signings as well. We'll get into all those in another video coming up here in a little while, along with the latest rumblings and other news around the league. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.